Hey Stampede fans, welcome to another edition of Stampede Weekly here on Stampede TV. We're at the Premier Center where the Stampede are gearing up for their final regular season home game of the season this Friday night against the Sioux City Musketeers. Last week the Stampede went 2-1 and improved to 14-3-0 here at the Premier Center since the end of December. Their dominance continued here at home in front of the great fans of Sioux Falls. Let's take a quick look back here at some highlights. To the Premier Center we go, and Stomp is getting the crowd ready early for this one, but it'd be the Storm who come out flying as they led in this game 7-1. Just over 4 minutes into the third period before Mikey Izemont would score for the Herd, and that was followed up by this play as Izemont sends a feed over to Dakota Joshua, and Joshua scores here on the backhand to make it a 7-3 game. After Parker Toomey scored back-to-back goals just 16 seconds apart, it was Colin Peters picking up the loose puck here in the slot, and he scores with a wicked wrister to make it a 7-6 game, but the Herd come up just short in the rally. They fall 7-6 to the Tri-City Storm on Friday. On Saturday, the Herd hosted the Lincoln Stars as part of Comfy Cozy Night presented by Capital One, and the Herd were sporting these sweet tie-dyed jerseys. It'd be all Stampede in the first as Parker Toomey takes a backdoor feed from Trey Bradley, and he goes top shelf to give the Herd a 1-0 lead. Minutes later, it's the Herd scoring again. This time it's Mikey Izemont from behind the net. He backhands the shot past the Lincoln netminder to make it 2-0. From there, it was Kiefer Bellows, his show. Bellows scores here from the right circle to give Sioux Falls a 3-0 lead. And then with 10 seconds left in the period, here's Lucas Bukta winding up. The shot's deflected by Bellows into the back of the net, and the Herd take a 4-0 lead into the locker room. The Herd would add two more in the second and then put an exclamation point on the game just 2:48 into the third when Mikey Izemont shakes off a defender behind the net, sends a perfect pass in the slot to Bellows, and he puts it away for the hat trick. Bellows becomes the first ever 16-year-old player to tally more than 30 goals in a season in the USHL Tier 1 era, and the Stampede roll to a 7-0 pasting of the Lincoln Stars. So with the 7-0 blowout victory over the Lincoln Stars on Saturday, the Stampede are now 32-21-5 as we head into the final two games of the regular season. A big key to success last weekend was the play of Mikey Izemont, who was named USHL Co-Forward of the Week. Caught up with head coach Kerry Eads earlier and says Izemont has really settled in with the Herd.
Yeah, I think settled in is a real key term for Izzy. Unfortunately, when we did trade for him, he was just coming back from a trip to Youngstown, and we rewarded him with another long bus trip to Youngstown right away. And I think he got a little worn down from that. And obviously, whenever you're moving in with a new team, there's some systems to think about, different line mates. So it took him a little while to get comfortable. Now that he has, his skill is really coming to the forefront. He's scored some beautiful goals, some big goals, game-winning goals, and then he's really adept at wraparound goals. He can really tuck that puck in. So we just want him to continue growing in confidence and growing feeling comfortable being in a Stampede uniform and continue to help us in these last two regular season games and on into the playoffs.
Izemont agrees and says he has adjusted well of late with the team and feels very confident heading into the final weekend of the regular season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been settling in. It was a long road stretch for me and for the team in general, and but now that I've been having time to settle in, I've been able to find some chemistry with some guys, and not even just my line, but with the D pairings and some of the power play guys. So
Ead says taking 2 of 3 games last week was key for the Stampede and keeping their momentum as they get ready for postseason play next week.
Yeah, I mean, we're in playoff mode. You know, we got playoff intensity in our mind. We had a real crisp practice yesterday, a little bit of a break today, and then we'll come back Wednesday, Thursday, and have real focused practices, passes tape to tape, and get ready for the execution that we're going to need when we're playing against the top teams in the league.
Izemont says the team doesn't change their approach despite that the game will have no meaning in the playoff seeding for them. Says it's important they finish the season strong heading into postseason play.
Going into these last two games, I know some affiliates are going to be playing, so they're going to have. It's going to be a little bit of a tryout for them, but especially against Sioux City, we're going into it with the playoff mindset and just to get ready for Tuesday.
Ead says the Stampede need to approach this weekend again with a playoff-like attitude and make sure they finish with some momentum heading in, especially knowing that the postseason play will begin just a few days after the regular season ends.
Yeah, there's always pride on the line, especially when Sioux Falls plays anything in athletics against Sioux City. So, couple that or combine that with the fact that we could face Sioux City in the first round of the playoffs. And, Friday's a real good test for us. We're respectful of their team and the great year that they've had, and then we'll come back and figure out Saturday at Fargo once Friday's over.
So the Stampede will close out the regular season right here at the Premier Center on Friday for Sioux Falls Ford Take My Jersey Night. We'll be raffling these great jerseys off. You'll have a chance to win one. All you got to do is purchase a raffle ticket. It benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They're just 1 for $5 or 3 for $10, so no matter what you contribute, it's going to a great cause. And who knows, you could walk away with one of these. And if you do win, you get a chance to meet the player right after the game, get the jersey right off their back, and get it signed by your favorite Stampede player. So a pretty cool deal going on here at the Premier Center come Friday night as the Stampede take on their arch rivals, the Sioux City Musketeers. And although the game doesn't matter for the Stampede in the standings, it means a lot for the Musketeers as they sit just 1 point ahead of Tri-City for first place in the West. So the Stampede will have a lot to do with whether or not Sioux City enters the playoffs as the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, and it could potentially be a preview of the Stampede's first round matchup. Don't forget, the Herd will play either Sioux City or Tri-City coming up next Tuesday at the Premier Center. By the way, tickets for those games on sale now. You can get your tickets at the Kellerland box office or any Ticketmaster location. The Stampede will host Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series against Sioux City or Tri-City. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Twitter at SF Stampede. Follow us on our website at sfstampede.com for the latest information and playoff news. So that'll do it for this week's edition of Stampede Weekly. Make sure you continue to follow us here on Stampede TV. We'll have a special playoff preview coming up next week. Until then, hope to see you here at the Premier Center, and we'll talk to you again next week on Stampede TV.